Hello YouTube, this is Highbowman here with the second part of my multi-force review. And I'm here with Mach and Tackle. Okay, right out of the way I want to get to a point that I made in my previous video about how there are some cases, like with Tackle, how the members of the multi-force can incorporate the combiner kibble really well. He is a little orange and blue truck with these two top-mounted guns. But this gun piece is actually Landcross's foot, which is very nicely pegged on the top of him. Now, Mach is another example of how to incorporate the combiner kibble well as an example of how not to incorporate it at all. I'll show you what I mean. If you'll notice, he's the same length as Tackle, but he has this nice large wingspan, which would be a problem if the wings were actually part of him, but they're not. It's this nice little, it's going to be the chest piece of Landcross, which pegs on the bottom of him around his wheels so that they can still roll, and gives him his wings as his space shuttle mode. This other piece, which becomes sort of the waist crotch guard for Landcross, comes with Mach, but it doesn't actually attach to him in any way, which is an example of how some pieces aren't really incorporated. The only other example I can think of is, this is the head that came with wing, and it's Landcross's head. This and this crotch piece really are the only two that aren't incorporated. Now, there are some pieces that sort of meet that description, like Tackle's robot mode gun. He can't actually incorporate this on top of here because of the way this foot peg is with the holes on it, but he can hold it in his robot mode, so it sort of cancels that out. So let's get to the toys themselves. I will start with Mach. Mach is a blue and white space shuttle with his black wings under here that I showed you before, as well as his little blaster on top, which is removable. So to transform him, you remove the wings, you extend his legs down, you have to move his arms out of the way so that you can separate the legs and rotate them forward, giving him his legs, and then you rotate up these two little toe panels. And then you just bring up his head, insert his weapon into his hand, and he is done. So this is Mach in his robot mode. He is pretty clearly out of proportion with his giant legs here, but he's one of the few members of the multi-force that actually has knees that bend forward and not out, so that's kind of a plus. He can lean over a little bit. It's just a plus in the fact that his knees bend the right way. They don't really do much for posing him. And then on to Tackle. Tackle is a truck, Jeep type vehicle. He's mostly orange with some blue back here. You remove his top double-barreled gun assembly. You extend his legs down and fold up his arms. You separate his legs, and then you rotate these around. And then pop up his head. His head's kind of loose, but that's just mine. His head probably won't be loose for other people's. Now, 2 points I want to get to on Tackle. One, his legs, because you have to rotate them around to get these toe pieces out in the front of his robot mode, gives him his very wide-legged stance versus Mach, whose legs are more together. Also, I know his gun is very oversized, not just considering the scale of this whole group, but also considering how the other guns have been pretty small. And this is because this gun is the base for Landcross's gun. If you see all these holes on the tops and the sides here, that's where the little guns, like Mach's, peg in. And they all combine to make one big gun. The best other reference I can give for a gimmick like this is on G1 Bruticus or on RID Ruination, where all the guns combine in a similar way. And now we shall get to their combining. I will start with the one that they usually do in the show, which is Machtackle. So with Tackle, you just pop in his head and rotate his arms back out of the way. And you take Mach, pop in his head and pull out his larger head up here. Fold his arms back out of the way and then fold these two Space Shuttle nose cones down. And you can actually fold the little foot pieces off to the sides to make it look like he has hands, you know, instead of these sticking out. But he doesn't really have hands sculpted, he just has the two little holes. Then you just peg them in on top like that, and give him both weapons. And this is Machtackle in his robot mode. And we will now make his other combination, Tacklemach. So it's essentially the same. Pop out the larger head, flip over the larger robot mode arms. Sorry if I'm doing this a little bit off camera. Swing Mach's legs back around, and then pop him in on top. And now he is Tacklemach. Again, I apologize for the loose head here. This is going to keep sliding in, but that's just mine. And unlike Mach, Tackle does have, for the larger combination, sculpted hands, which is a nice touch. So this is really all I can say about the figures, but there is one little question I guess I have for anybody who might see this video, and that's more about their characters in the show than the actual toys. And if anybody watches or has watched Victory and has seen episode, I believe it's 24, Mach and Tackle, when they're both talking to each other, you know, investigating the ecological disaster that's going on, they seem to both refer to each other as, respectively, Mach-kun and Tackle-kun, which I don't quite understand. With my limited knowledge of Japanese, I understand that kun is some sort of, I don't know really what to call it, but you tack it on at the end of somebody's name to show that it's sort of a term of endearment for somebody who's younger than you, like a friend or a younger sibling. And I don't really get, if that's how kun is supposed to be used, how they could both call each other Mach-kun or Tackle-kun when they both can't be younger than each other. That doesn't make sense to me. I guess it could be that they're the same age, but then they could call each other Tackle-chan and Mach-chan, when chan, I've understood, is the opposite of kun. You use it to refer to someone who's older than you with affection. So if someone could enlighten me a little bit more on the Japanese language and explain why they both refer to each other as kun, then that would be great, because I don't get it. But that's basically it for the toys. This is Mach, Tackle, Machtackle, and Tacklemach, and this is Hypoman signing off.